Hare Krishna. Welcome to this 15th episode of Sri Īśopaniṣad series, and today's topic is Mantra 14. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Ajnanatimirandhasya Jnananjana Shalakaya Chakshurunmelitam Yena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha. Shri Chaitanya Manobhishtam Sthapitam Yena Bhutale Swayam Rupah Kadamahyam Dadati Swapadantikam Vandeham Shri Guru Shri Yutapadakamalam Shri Gurun Vaishnavamscha Shri Rupam Sagrajatam Sahagana Raghunathanvitam Tam Sajivam Sadvaitam Savadhutam Parijana Sahitam Krishna Chaitanya Devam Shri Radha Krishna Padan Sahagana Lalita Shri Vishakhanvitamscha He Krishna Karuna Sindho Deenabandho Jagatpate Gopesha Gopika Kanta Radha Kanta Namostute Tapta Kanchana Gaurangi Radhe Vrindavaneshwari Vrishabhanusute Devi Pranamami Hare Priye Vancha Kalpatarubhyascha Kripa Sindhubhya Evacha Patitanam Pavanebhyo Vaishnavebhyo Namo Namaha Namo Om Vishnupadaya Krishna Presthaya Bhutale Srimate Bhaktivedanta Swaminiti Namine Namaste Saraswati Deve Gauravani Pracharine Nirvishesha Shunyavadi Paschatya Deshatarine Jai Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhara Shri Vasadi Gaura Bhakta Vrinda Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare. So welcome to this 15th episode, Mantra 14 of Sri Īśopaniṣad, and I'm very sorry for the delay. Just got caught up with things. It's alright. I'm sorry for that little inconvenience for you to change the link and all that. So we'll quickly jump into the mantra 14. Īśopaniṣad, mantra 14. Word to word from here. Sambhutim cha vinasham cha yah tat veda ubhayam saha vinashena. One second. Vinashena mrityum tirtva sambhutya amritam ashnute. Sambhutim cha vinasham cha yastadvedo bhayam saha vinashena mrityum tirtva sambhutyamritam ashnute. Sambhutim cha vinasham cha yastadvedo bhayam saha vinashena mrityum tirtva sambhutyamritam ashnute. Translation and purport by His Divine Grace A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Śrīla Prabhupāda ki Jaya. Translation. One should know perfectly the personality of Godhead Sri Kṛṣṇa and His transcendental name, form, qualities and pastimes, as well as the temporary material creation with its temporary demigods, men and animals. When one knows these, he surpasses death and the ephemeral cosmic manifestation with it. And in the eternal kingdom of God, he enjoys his eternal life of bliss and knowledge. So, We will skip the matching of the phrase to phrase with the shloka. So you kindly do that on your own, because there's a lot to cover, and we will go to them. Just 2 words I want to highlight. Sambhutim. Sambhutim, you see, the eternal personality of Godhead, His transcendental name, form, pastimes, qualities and paraphernalia, the variegatedness of His abode, etc. So all that is translated for the word Sambhutim. So because the Lord and His name and His paraphernalia and His entourage, they are all non-different. And Vinasham. Vinasham means destruction. So in this shloka, it is meaning the temporary material manifestation of demigods, men and animals, etc. with their false names, fame, etc. So the eternal personality of Godhead and the temporary living entities in this world. I mean, the living entities are permanent, but their situation in this material world is temporary. So that, and everything is in this temporary world is, what is that in the Bhagavad-Gita? He says, Kalakshayokrit loka pravriddho. Kalosmi lokakshayakrit pravriddho lokan samahartum iha pravrittah. So the Supreme Personality of Godhead said, time I am the great destroyer of the worlds, and I have come here to destroy all people. So that time means destruction. So Vinasham, everything that is in this material world is classified as Vinasham, whether it be demigods or the benedictions they give, or our humans, animals, everything, the whole cosmic manifestation. So it is said that one should know perfectly Kṛṣṇa and all the spiritual nature and his expansions, I mean his name, form, pastimes and everything, and also the temporary material creation with all its different paraphernalia. When one knows these, he surpasses death and the ephemeral cosmic manifestation with it. Ephemeral means flickering, temporary. And in the eternal kingdom of God, he enjoys his eternal life of bliss and knowledge. That means we have to know both spiritual and material knowledge, which is also confirmed by Kṛṣṇa himself in the Bhagavad-Gita, chapter 7, text 2. Jnanam teham savijnanam idam vakshyam yaseshatah yajñātvaneha bhūyonyajñātavyam avashishyate. I shall now declare unto you in full this knowledge, both phenomenal and numinous. This being known, nothing further shall remain for you to know. So both phenomenal and numinous. That means phenomenal means the material and numinous means the spiritual knowledge. So both we must know. And here it is about the eternal and non-eternal. It's the same thing. Purport. By its so-called advancement of knowledge, human civilization has created many material things, including spaceships and atomic energy. Yet it has failed to create a situation in which people need not die, take birth again, become old or suffer from disease. So, the advancement of science and technology with all its glaring attractions like spaceships and gadgets and this and that, they just distract us from the real problems of life, which is janma mrityu jara vyadhi dukkha doshanu darshanam. So that is the real miseries, the birth, death, old age and disease, and that is not solvable, if there is a word like that, by this so-called scientific and technological advancements. It gives an illusion of advancement. Oh, we have now something new, now something more, something this, then something that. But then the core problems are not being solved. No matter what is happening, that 4 problems are not being solved. Janma, mrityu, jara, vyadhi. And in fact, the hospital is the embodiment of all these 4 miserable conditions. There is janma, there is mrityu, there is jara, old age, and vyadhi, diseases, all in the hospital. And they think to build more hospitals is the solution, is a good work, philanthropic, charitable work. But the very fact that there are more hospitals means more people are suffering. There are more people going through birth, death, old age and disease. That's what it actually means. So that means real progress means there's no need of hospital. No birth, no death, no disease, no old age, right? Eternal life. But when we say this to the scientists, oh, where is your eternal life? What have you advanced? No, we are coming in, it's in the process, we are doing our research, we are doing our lab tests and everything. So in this way, they just give a post-dated check. You know what's a post-dated check? Post-dated check is a promise in the future. There is no assurance in the present or in the future. It's just a promise. It may or may not come true. And actually, it doesn't come true in this case, because Krishna's law, Krishna has created this material world, and the law is that bhutva pralyate, everything will be destroyed repeatedly. There is repeated creation and destruction in this material world. Nothing will stay on forever. Nothing. Vinasham. This material world is the abode of vinasha or destruction, the abode of destruction. So we should always remain alert whether this so-called advancement is actually addressing the real problems or not. Are they making us any better than ahara nidra bhaya maithunam, eating, mating, sleeping, defending? Are we becoming any better than this by our advancement? And are we solving the problems of birth, death, old age and disease? Are we getting eternal life by this progress? No. So that has to be always the index for advancement or progress. We don't say that we are not going to use all the technological advancements that they are doing. If that can be used to broadcast the message of eternity, knowledge and bliss, then it's worth it. Like this broadcast that now we are using Facebook Live here, and this is a material technology and it can be attractive, but on its own it has no use. It doesn't give eternity, knowledge and bliss, and it doesn't save us from birth, death, old age and disease. But if we can use this platform, if we can use this thing to spread the message of eternity, knowledge and bliss of Kṛṣṇa, the Supreme Personality of Godhead, and how to come out of this birth, death, old age and disease, and to rise above the platform of just ahara nidra bhaya maithunam cha, which is animal life, eating, sleeping, mating and defending, and rise to the platform of God consciousness. If that message can be broadcasted, then that's fine. That is actually the proper use of everything in this material world. It has to point us to that direction of the kingdom of God, Vaikuntha. Other than, if not for that, everything is just a failure. It's just in the category of vinasham. But if we use it in that category, then it becomes in the category of sambhutim. So these fine nuances we have to understand of spiritual life. That a material thing can be spiritualized by using it in the service of Kṛṣṇa. This is called yukta vairagya. But by themselves, the so-called material devices, they are not good for. They are in the category of vinasha, in the category of destruction. And if we engage with them, just watching topics or reading about topics which are just in this material world, then we are just cultivating the culture of vinasha. We should cultivate the culture of sambhuti, the culture of absolute truth, and that means devotional service. So it has advanced so much, including spaceships and atomic energy, but has failed to create a situation in which people need not die, take birth, become old or suffer from disease. Whenever an intelligent man raises the question of these miseries before a so-called scientist, the scientist very cleverly replies that material science is progressing and that ultimately it will be possible to render man deathless, ageless and diseaseless. Such answers prove the scientist's gross ignorance of material nature. In the material nature, everyone is under the stringent laws of matter and must pass through 6 stages of existence: birth, growth, maintenance, production of byproducts, deterioration, and finally death. No one in contact with material nature can be beyond these 6 laws of transformation. Therefore, no one, whether demigod, man, animal or plant, can survive forever in the material world. We always want to have a long life. So scientists may even say, "Oh, we are working towards that. We're going to have, we're going to be deathless and ageless, and and to even support this, in fact, this is not just we are saying. They're actually saying. I have seen When? Let me remember. It's about I think in the beginning of this year or the end of last year. There was this weird video that came out. It's a course. They're saying that now with the science and technology and the advancement in it, humans will be able to live for about 110, 120, 130 years. The generation that is living now at maybe in their youth, they'll be living up till then. So the whole idea is to promote the health. They have some health programs where so-called you can become healthy and you can become like a young man, basically. So they said if you're going to live until 120, 130, you better be healthy and stop looking at life like you're in the middle age when you have reached 30 or 40. It is just in your 1/3 age or 1/4 of your actual potential age, and therefore you must treat that as young, and then you have to do these exercises or whatever things, and then you must be young even at the age of 60 and 70. You should be like with full vigor, because life expectancy is going high, and you can live, and soon with science you will be living for so many more years. That was the theory, and then that's how they are promoting their whatever exercise and health program. It was a course that they were marketing, and with that, the same thought, the scientists on the other hand, the astronauts, their side, they were saying, yes, if life expectancy is going to be so much and is going to increase to 150 or even 200 years with science and technology, there will be so much more population increase in this world. So therefore, we need to inhabit other planets, because this planet will be insufficient for us anymore, and therefore we have to travel, and therefore we need to have these huge budgets for constructing spacecrafts, and we have to go to other planets. You just see how it's one thing is leading to another. It's hope. I mean, one promise, and then built on that dream or fantasy, there's another promise, or because of this thing will happen, so therefore that thing must happen, so therefore we have to do this space exploration. This is the way they're just keeping us. The donkey with the master wants to make the donkey move, so he puts this carrot. He ties a stick to the donkey's neck, and the stick comes out, and the carrot hangs just about a foot or a foot and a half from the donkey's mouth, and then this donkey wants to eat the carrot, and he walks forward and walks forward and walks forward for miles. He's not going to eat the carrot, but he is made to walk the miles. So that's how modern society, modern civilization, the leaders of the modern civilization are just misleading us in this path of materialism, giving us attractive promises but never really delivering on them. There may be some little bit advancement in the matter of some communication, this and that, but a lot of damage, concomitant damage that is coming along with it. And meanwhile, the four principal miseries of birth, death, old age and disease are never addressed. I think there is some lag in the video in it. Kindly let me know in the comments. Hopefully it will just become alright in a while. So the truth is, though, that material nature is basically vinasham, the abode of dukkhalayam ashashvatam. Kṛṣṇa also confirmed that in the Bhagavad-Gita, chapter 8, text 15. Mamupetya punarjanma dukkhalayam ashashvatam napnuvanti mahatmanah samsiddhim paramam gatah. After attaining me, the great souls who are yogis in devotion never return to this temporary world, which is full of miseries because they have attained the highest perfection. So you see, this temporary world, which is full of miseries, this is the certification given by Kṛṣṇa himself, who designed this material world. Now, all of you kind of know probably who Elon Musk is. Elon Musk is the CEO of the company Tesla cars and SpaceX, the spacecrafts that they're trying to build to go to Mars and all that, and even Moon. Now, if you ask him about the Tesla car or the SpaceX spacecraft, he will be able to tell you something about it, or maybe everything about it. So because he is the creator, he is the brains behind this whole thing. So similarly, we need to get knowledge from the supreme brain who has created this material world, and not from the scientists. They just were put into this material world according to their previous karma. They have no idea who created the universe and why it was created, and whether it will be destroyed or not. They don't even know. So just like if you ask an insect, there are some insects which are born in the night and they grow in the night and reproduce, and they become old and die within the same night. Their entire lifetime is within the night. And if by chance one of those insects, being born of this insect or born of the next generation, by chance sees the sun rise, he will think, whoa, the whole world has changed. Oh, it's a new thing, the world has changed. But nothing has changed. And if you ask that insect about what is the source of the universe and all that, how can he know? And when it will be destroyed, he has no idea. He's just going to be here for a few moments, few hours maybe, and die. Even this coronavirus that is doing its rounds in the world, its lifespan is so small. If it just touches the skin, it will die within 20 minutes, something like that. But it reproduces, and then in short lifespan it does so much damage. So that's exactly how we human beings are there. We are also having such short lifespans, comparatively a little longer than those coronavirus, but in the grand scheme of things, this 50, 60, 70, 80, okay, say even the 120 years that they are promising, what it is in the viewpoint of eternity, where do they stand? They are just like small insects, small viruses in the expanse of time, and they're just going to be gone. And within their limited period here, they're causing so much damage, just like the virus. And those human beings, how can we expect pure knowledge from them? They don't even know what they have. Not the slightest idea of the grand scheme of things and who created this whole universe and why it was created and everything. So similarly, we have to take the knowledge from Kṛṣṇa. Kṛṣṇa is saying vinasham, sambhutim cha vinasham cha. Here also he is saying, what is that? Dukkhalayam ashashvatam. Dukkhalayam means place of miseries, and ashashvatam means temporary, which is just the other word for vinasham, destruction. In the Īśopaniṣad verse, the word was used vinasham, which is just one part of this, ashashvatam. But the second part is dukkhalayam. Even that ashashvatam, that temporary time, is not full of bliss. It's full of miseries. That temporary time also. So if you want eternity, bliss and knowledge, then it is the spiritual world, the sambhuti. The duration of life varies according to species. Lord Brahma, the chief being within this material universe, lives for millions and millions of years, while a minute germ lives for some hours only. But no one in the material world can survive eternally. Things are born or created under certain conditions, they stay for some time, and if they continue to live, they grow, procreate, gradually dwindle, and finally vanish. According to these laws, even the Brahmas, of which there are millions in different universes, are all liable to death, either today or tomorrow. Therefore, the entire material universe is called Martyaloka, the place of death. So this is the definition of the material world. No matter how intelligent one may be, even Lord Brahma himself is in the Vinasha category, because he will also be destroyed. Arahma bhuvanaloka punaravartino Arjuna. 8:16. If you remember 8:16. Abrahma bhuvanaloka punaravartino mamupetya tu kaunteya punarjanmana vidyate. This is also the same Vinasha and Sambhuti principle in this verse. The first two lines of this verse are the Vinasha principle, and the next are the Sambhuti principle. From the highest planet in the material world down to the lowest, all are places of misery wherein repeated birth and death take place. That is Vinasha. But one who attains to my abode, O son of Kunti, never takes birth again. That is Amrita, Sambhutyamritam Ashnute. If you remember the verse, Sambhutya Amritam, Sambhutyamritam. See that? So that Sambhutya and Amritam means Sambhutya in the eternal kingdom of God, and Amritam means deathlessness. So this is exactly the opposite of Vinasha or destruction. Now you see, according to these laws, the material laws of creation and destruction, there are these 6 transformations. Even the Brahmas, of which there are millions in different universes, are all liable to death either today or tomorrow. Therefore, the entire material world is called Martyaloka, the place of death. Material scientists and politicians are trying to make this place deathless because they have no information of the deathless spiritual nature. This is important. By nature, we are deathless. And that's the reason why we want to be eternal. Why are these promises of, what is that? Oh, we're going to have a life of 120, 130, 150 years. And all these promises, why are they even coming out? Why is that the tendency of the material scientists? Because the soul is natural state. The soul is, we are all eternal. And that's exactly why we tend towards eternity. That means we want to be eternal. We want to be long-lived. Nobody likes if somebody says, oh, may you die tomorrow. Nobody, right? Everybody wants the benediction that, oh, may you live long. Although that long life is full of miseries, they still live long. You see? Even though that long life is going to be miserable, in the old age it's going to be miserable, but they don't think about all these things. They just want to live long, and they think life will be like this as it is now, youthful and everything. So they think like that, and they want to live long. In fact, in India, anybody's birthday, they say, oh, wish you many happy returns of the day. I never really understood why it was said like that. All my childhood, until even just very recently, I never even thought about it. Why do people say like that in India? Wish you many happy returns of the day. What is the meaning? So I was just breaking down, trying to understand with English, because I never really put thought to it. I just heard it, and that's how people used to wish everybody on birthdays or something like that. Wish you many happy returns of the day, many happy returns of the day. But then, many happy returns of the day. Why do they even say like that? Then I was just about 2 years back when I was actually thinking about it. Why do actually people say like that? Many happy returns. Oh, okay. Then it clicked in my head. Oh, many happy returns of the day. So many times, may this birthday return many times. That means, okay, may you live very long. So that's when I understood it was, oh, okay, that's what it means. Because I never really put thought to it. But if you really put any thought, I think you will understand. So Swati Mataji is saying more lagging. What can I do? I just can go on and hope it become alright, because I don't know what I can do here. I have no idea. Probably some files have to be deleted or something like that. I don't know. I think we will settle that tomorrow. But today I think you have to bear with this a little more. I'm sorry about that. I'll try to see what I can do. So anyway, coming to the point. So people want to stay long in this material world. So that's not unnatural, because that is the natural state of the soul. To die is unnatural, because that is not within our actual or healthy state of life, eternal state of life. So that's why we all try to resist or combat death. The only problem is, that the materialist looks for that permanent solution or settlement in the wrong place. He wants permanent settlement in the abode of temporariness or vinasham, or the abode of destruction. In the abode of destruction, this material world, he wants to be eternal. That is the wrong path to take. That is the mistake. We are not really after, we are not saying that to try to become immortal, to try to have a long life, that is bad. No, that is good. To try to have eternal life, try to live as long as one can. Actually, because they do not know that they are eternal, they think they want to live until 130 or 140 years. But if given a chance, they would always want to live for eternity, right? And actually, the soul lives for eternity, just that they do not know about it. So, so-called scientific and technological advancement promising these things in the future, we are condemning that not because of the desire to stay that long, but the condemnation is of the place where it is being looked for. The eternity in the abode of temporariness. That is the mistake. Because any spiritualist or materialist, they want to go towards eternity in bliss and knowledge. The spiritualist is also after these three things. The materialist is also after these three things. The materialist also wants knowledge. That's why he is exploring, space exploration. Exploring means you want to have more knowledge. Not only space, in every field. They want to push the frontiers of knowledge, and then they want to go further. And they want to become happy. And they want to be eternal. So they want to have a longer and longer life as much as possible. If it's possible eternity, yes, they want eternity as well. But that's exactly what the spiritualists are also after. Both are after the same thing, eternity, knowledge and bliss. But the process, the place in which they are looking for, that is the difference. The spiritualists, they look for in the kingdom of God, Kṛṣṇa, in the Vaikuntha Loka. Whereas the materialists look for it in the material world. The example again of the tree and its reflection. Now, on the tree there are the fruits. Suppose a mango tree. So there is the mango fruit, and in the reflection of the tree in the water, suppose the tree is in the bank of a lake. In the lake, on the surface of the lake, there is a reflection of the real tree, and the tree is upside down. And the reflection of the mangoes are also there the mangoes are also reflected in the water. Now, two people are after the mango, one who climbs the tree and one who wants to take the mango that is in the reflection. Both want mango, but the one who looks for the mango in the real tree, he is intelligent, whereas the other person who is looking for it in the reflection, he is foolish. So although the end goal is the same, the process is completely different, and one process is doomed to failure and the other process is guaranteed success. Even if one temporarily fails in the process of spiritual realization, especially Bhakti Yoga, which is the actual process of self-realization, even if there is a little bit failure halfway across the mark or even 1% into the path, there is no loss. We can continue from where we left off in the next life. We can start from 2% in the next life. So there is guaranteed success here, and in the material path there is guaranteed failure. Now it's just up to us what path we need to take. Therefore in today's verse it is said, Sambhutim cha vinasham cha yastad vedo bhayam saha. We should know both. Not that we should only know that mango on the tree, we should also know about the mango in the reflection, and we should be careful not to be attracted or not to be distracted by that reflection. So both we should know. And that both, when we say we should know material knowledge and spiritual knowledge, it does not mean that we should go to the material universities and learn under the material professors about this material knowledge. No, because they do not know the real situation of the material world. They have some wrong idea of what material world is. They think it can be made into a better place of eternity, knowledge and bliss. They think like that. So we should not take knowledge from them about the material world, but rather we should take knowledge from Kṛṣṇa himself, who is the creator of both spiritual and material worlds. And that is the way to go, because he is the engineer for everything anyway. Then we will have proper knowledge. So even that material knowledge, although this is said today, this should not be mistaken. One should know perfectly Kṛṣṇa and the material world, the spiritual and the material. One should not think that, oh wow, that's good, so I will go to university and then learn all the material knowledge, and then I will become a devotee and I will have spiritual knowledge. So in this way I will balance both. That is not the idea here. Because even about the material world, only the Supreme Lord can actually explain what the material world is. The soul's condition in this material world, they cannot tell us what the material world is. They will have imperfect knowledge of it. So the material scientists and politicians are trying to make this place deathless because they have no information of the deathless spiritual nature. This is due to their ignorance of the Vedic literature, which contains full knowledge confirmed by mature transcendental experience. Not only knowledge but by experience. This is called Jnanam and Vijnanam. Vijnanam means experience of the knowledge. So that's why Kṛṣṇa said, whatever I am saying, Arjuna, is not just some fantasy I am telling you, but it is people have actually experienced this. In the 4th chapter, 10th verse, he says, Vitaraga bhaya krodha manmaya mam upashritaha bahavo jnana tapasa putamad bhavam agataha. Being freed from attachment, fear and anger, being fully absorbed in me and taking refuge in me, many persons in the past became purified by knowledge of me, and thus they all attained transcendental love for me. They have actually gone. Puta madbhavam agataha. They have come. Transcendental love for me means they have attained the spiritual world. Because only when you have love for Godhead, then you are admitted into the spiritual world. Otherwise you are not admitted. None of us will be admitted. So they have all already reached the spiritual world. It is not a fantasy I am explaining to you, Arjuna. People have already made good use of this path, and they have already attained the spiritual nature. They have already attained Sambhuti, and they have crossed this ocean of Vinasha. So therefore it is said, people do not have information of the deathless spiritual nature. This is due to their ignorance of the Vedic literature, which contains full knowledge confirmed by mature transcendental experience. Unfortunately, modern man is averse to receiving knowledge from the Vedas, Puranas and other scriptures. From the Vishnu Puran, 6th canto, 7th chapter, 61st verse, we receive the following information. Vishnu Shaktihi para prokta kshetrajñakhya tatha para avidya karma samgyanya tritiya shakti rishyate. Lord Vishnu, the personality of Godhead, possesses different energies known as para, superior, and apara, inferior. The living entities belong to the superior energy. The material energy in which we are presently entangled is the inferior energy, which covers the living entities with ignorance, avidya, and induces them to perform fruitive activities. This is all avidya. So the vidya platform is the sat chit. Chit means full of knowledge. Knowledge means vidya. So it is attained in the spiritual world, real knowledge. That is vidya platform. But this material world is vinasha, avidya platform. So that's why the spiritual world is called superior, parakriti, and material world is called aparaprakriti. Yet there is another part of the Lord's superior energy that is different from both this material inferior energy and the living entities. That superior energy constitutes the eternal deathless abode of the Lord. So the three energies are internal, external and marginal. But that marginal is actually spiritual energy, which we are now trapped in material world. But there is another spiritual energy which is the abode of the Lord, and that is beyond this material universe, and that is in the spiritual world, and that's where we belong. This is confirmed in Bhagavad-Gita chapter 8 text 20. Parastasmat tu bhavonyo vyakto vyaktat sanatanah yah sa sarva bhuteshu nashyatsu na vinashyati. See, na vinashyati. Now Sambhuti and Vinasham, right? Today's topic. So this Sanatana is Sambhuti. The Lord is Sanatan, we are Sanatan, the abode of the Lord is Sanatan, the name of the Lord is Sanatan, pastimes are Nitya Leela, therefore they are also Sanatan. Everything about the Lord is Sanatana, that means eternal. Sambhuti. Whereas Vinashyati is Nashatsu, na Vinashyati. Na Vinashyati means in the spiritual world there is no Vinasha. Vinasha means destruction. So, Nashyatsu means destruction. When it becomes destroyed. So, in this world everything is Nashyatsu, which is Vinasham. So, that is the temporary nature of this material world. So, what it says, 8.20. All the material planets, upper, lower and intermediary, including the Sun, Moon and Venus, are scattered throughout the universe. These planets exist only during the lifetime of Brahma. Actually, this is not exactly the translation. The translation is here. He is paraphrasing it there. You see, parastasmatu bhavonyo vyakto vyaktat sanatana yasa sarveshu bhuteshu nashyatsu na vinashyati. 8.20 Bhagavad-Gita. What it is? Yet there is another unmanifest nature which is eternal and is transcendental to this manifested and unmanifested matter. It is supreme and is never annihilated. When all in this world is annihilated, that part remains as it is. So, annihilation means vinasham, destruction. So, all the material planets, upper, lower and intermediate, including the Sun, Moon and Venus, are scattered throughout the universe. These planets exist only during the lifetime of Brahma. Some lower planets, however, are vanquished after the end of one day of Brahma and are again created during the next day of Brahma. As we know, until the Svargaloka, the heavenly planets, all the planets are created during the day of Brahma, they stay, and at the night they are destroyed. So how this world, this material world is vinasha or the abode of destruction, it is Prabhupada is explaining in the purport here. Its destruction means not that it will be destroyed at the end of Brahma once, but there is repeated destruction. Bhutva praliyate. There is pralaya every time. There is pralaya. At the end of Brahma's day there is pralaya, and the end of Brahma's life there is Mahapralaya, which is the supreme destruction of the entire universe. But even not just at the end of Brahma's day, even every time there are small pralayas. Like for example, there was the atomic bomb in Hiroshima and Nagasaki in Japan. That is pralaya. In fact, the scientist who created that nuclear bomb, he was reading Bhagavad-Gita and he read the verse Kalosmi lokakshaya krit pravriddho, time I am the destroyer of the worlds, and he is thinking that he is the destroyer. In his own way he interpreted it, but anyway, he also read the Bhagavad-Gita. That is also a pralaya. And every time there is a tsunami, so many towns and houses and households and people, they are destroyed. That is also pralaya, destruction. There is war, or there is sometimes like this pandemic. There are so many causes of pralaya in this material world. And sometimes there is famine, drought, there is no food supply and people die of hunger. That is another pralaya. And even if nothing like that happens, our death is also destruction. Is the destruction of our entire life, whatever we have created in this world. So, repeatedly there is destruction. And also, just like when Brahma's night, there is destruction, there is nothing that is remaining. Just as in Brahma's night, there is destruction of this material world, in a very small way, in our night, when we sleep, there is no more. Our activities all come to a standstill. They are temporarily still. There is nothing going on. That is a very temporary destruction. It cannot be continued eternally, our activities. So even in the death, it is stopped. So similarly, there is also like that in the night of Brahma, but that destruction is much more severe than our so-called dream only. So here it is said, some lower planets, however, are vanquished after the end of one day of Brahma and are again created during the next day of Brahma. On the upper planets, time is calculated differently. one of our years is equal to only 24 hours or 1 day and night on many of the upper planets. The 4 ages of earth, Satya, Treta, Dwapara and Kali, last only 12,000 years according to the time scale of the upper planets, in the demigod planets. Such a length of time multiplied by 1,000 constitutes 1 day of Brahma, and 1 night of Brahma is the same. Such days and nights accumulate into months and years, and Brahma lives for 100 such years. At the end of Brahma's life, the complete universal manifestation is vanquished. Those living beings who reside on higher planets like the sun and the moon, as well as those on Martyaloka, on this earth planet, and also those who live on lower planets, all are merged into the waters of devastation during the night of Brahma. During this time, no living beings or species remain manifest. Although spiritually they continue to exist. You see that? At the night of Brahma, this is what happens. They are, all the species as we know them in the material bodies, they are not there. You see? But the souls, they exist. They exist still. This unmanifested stage is called avyakta. The souls are just suspended for 1 night of Brahma. We have been through this many times. Many nights of Brahma we have all passed. We are thinking, wow, so long they are suspended. Not they, we also. We were there in that. How many nights of Brahma? Now Brahma is of the age of 50 years old. Is just going into his 51st year. And for 50 years, every day of Brahma, how many, 360 days, 365 times. Here is calculated as 360 because that's how it's calculated. 360 times 50. That is 18,000 days of Brahma. That means 18,000 nights of Brahma, given assuming that we have been here since the beginning of this universe. Actually, we have been even other universes. Prior to this creation of this universe, we have been existing even in other universes before this. Just imagine how long we have been here like that. And for what we have been here? Just some meaningless sense gratification, for some food, for some sex, for some all the sensory gratification, eating, mating, sleeping. To sleep we have come here, to pass stool, to pass urine. For this reason, we have stayed here in this material world for so long. When we are manifest as in the material bodies, then we have been suffering the pains of birth, death, old age and disease repeatedly. And when the night of Brahma comes, or even worse, when the death of Brahma happens, you know how long we are suspended till the next creation? The entire life of Brahma. Because this is breath of Narayana, Mahavishnu, right? When he is exhaling, all the universes are coming into being, existing. And when he is inhaling, all the universes are going back. So, that one breath is 311 trillion 40 billion years, which is the lifetime of Brahma. And then for the next breath to again come, again 311, just like Brahma's one day is 4.32 billion years, his night is also 4.32 billion years. Usually we take the same time to breathe in and breathe out, to inhale and exhale, right? So, how much time it takes to exhale and takes to inhale is almost the same time. So, if we exist for 311 trillion 40 billion years, and that is the exhalation period of Mahavishnu, and the inhalation time is also the same, and so for 311 trillion 40 billion years, we are just suspended. We just merged into the body of Mahavishnu and waiting there for the next creation to happen. And when next creation happens, we again come out. Just imagine how much time we have wasted. And for what reward? Is it even worth it? What is the real big thing that is so valuable for which we have been staying here for that long? So we have to reflect on these things. Just for birth, death, old age, disease, for eating, sleeping, mating, defending, just for this we have stayed for so long. So that is our foolishness. And still with science and technology, we want to stay longer in this material world. Now you understand how stupid these so-called advancements are. They're trying to prolong their material life. Already we have been here for millions and trillions of years, and still they want to prolong with so-called science and technology. That also they cannot do properly. People are dying and they cannot save them. And again they're taking birth that they have no information of. So how much ignorance is going on in the name of so-called knowledge and scientific and technological development. So during this time, no living beings or species, yes, so this we have read. Yes, or species remain manifest during the night of Brahma. This unmanifested stage is called avyakta. Again, when the universe, its entire universe is vanquished at the end of Brahma's lifetime, there is another avyakta state, unmanifest state. But beyond these two unmanifested states is another unmanifested state, the spiritual atmosphere or nature. There are a great number of spiritual planets in this atmosphere, and these planets exist eternally, even when all the planets within this material world are vanquished at the end of Brahma's life. See that? So this is actually the translation of that 8.20, that verse of Bhagavad-Gita. He explained in a very elaborate way. So you see, even when So even when at the end of Brahma's life, there is an avyakta. Avyakta means unmanifest. But there is another unmanifested nature, which is the spiritual world, which is never manifest. Manifest means to come into existence. It never comes into existence because it is already always in existence. It was never created at a certain point of time. It was already there all the time. We also were never created at any point. We always were there all the time. This is very difficult to understand, because if something is existing, it started somewhere, right, in time. There is a start date. It was manufactured at this time, just like we have a date of birth. So everything that exists was created at some point of time in this material world. But to try to understand, to imagine, how can something exist without being created? How can it always exist? When did it start? When did it start to exist? We cannot comprehend how can something exist. It's actually very difficult to understand this in our minds, because we have been for so long, for so many billions and billions of years, we have been in this material world, not just in this universe, but in millions of universes we have been. And all that conditioning, we have been ingrained, indoctrinated to think that everything has birth, growth, maintenance, production of byproducts, dwindling and vanishing. We have this idea of everything. We can't get out of this idea that how can something exist without ever starting to exist. So that is exactly what we are as well. We were never born. We never die. How can we exist when we were never born? When did we start to exist? So these are very difficult things to comprehend with our limited intelligence, which is a product of the material world, which has a beginning of its own. There are many material universes, each under the jurisdiction of a Brahma, and this cosmic manifestation within the jurisdiction of the various Brahmas is but a display of 1/4 of the energy of the Lord, Ekapad Vibhuti. Now, try to understand, this universe is controlled by the Lord Brahma, and in this universe the Lord Brahma has 4 heads. Now, according to the size of the universe, the Brahma will have the number of heads in order to have the enough intelligence to control the entire universe. So this particular universe is 4 billion miles in diameter, and therefore the Brahma has 4 heads. So this is considered to be one of the smallest universes in the entire material world. And Brahma only has 4 heads. So when in the Srimad Bhagavatam there is a description, 2 times actually, when Lord Brahma came to Vrindavan to steal the cowherd boys, and when he saw the Lord at that time, which is mentioned in the Nectar of Devotion, it's not mentioned in the Bhagavatam, but in the Nectar of Devotion it is mentioned that at that time also he saw millions of Brahmas. And in the Dwarka, when he came, there is this nice story which happened in the Kṛṣṇa book. You can read this in the Bhagavatam, 10th canto. So Lord Brahma went to see Kṛṣṇa in the Dwarka. So he went to the gate of the palace of Kṛṣṇa, and the guard stopped him. Imagine stopping Brahma. Who are you? I am Brahma. Okay. He said, the guard asked him, what Brahma? Oh, I am the creator of the universe. Okay. Then let me ask the Lord and get back to you. You wait here. So the Brahma had to wait at the gate. So the message was passed to Kṛṣṇa, and Kṛṣṇa was informed. Brahma has come and he is waiting at the gate of the palace. Oh, which Brahma? Then the guard went back. He's asking you, which Brahma are you? Then the Brahma was like, what is that? I am Brahma, I mean the Lord of the universe. Who else? As if there are many Brahmas. The four-headed Brahma, tell him. So he went back and told him, it's the four-headed Brahma, he said. Oh, the four-headed Brahma. Okay, ask him to come inside. Then the Lord Brahma came inside and bowed down, and he was pleased to see the Lord. And finally he asked the Lord, my dear Lord, why did you ask which Brahma I was? What did you mean by that? Then Kṛṣṇa smiled at him, and as he was smiling at him, from different parts of the palace became so big. I mean, he was seeing like it's an infinite expanse of space, and innumerable Brahmas were coming from everywhere, from back, front, top, bottom, everywhere. Innumerable Brahmas were coming, and those Brahmas were not just like this four-headed Brahma. Some Brahmas had 10 heads, some Brahmas had 20 heads, some 100 heads, some 1,000 heads, some 10,000 heads, some million heads, some 10 million, billion heads, trillion heads, 10 trillion heads, 100 trillion heads. There was no limit to the heads, how many. And when all those Brahmas came and they were bowing down at the feet of the Lord, the helmets of their innumerable heads were touching the ground, and a tumultuous sound, it was so deafening for this Lord Brahma. And the magic was that none of those Brahmas could see another Brahma. They all could see only themselves, and they thought that only they were seeing Kṛṣṇa, and that's it. None of them saw the other Brahmas. Each of them were thinking, I alone am seeing Kṛṣṇa. But only this four-headed Brahma could see all the other Brahmas at once. He was so shocked. Then after that, all the Brahmas asked him at the same time, my dear Lord, what do you want from us, from me? Everybody said the same thing with all their millions of mouths. Deafening sound, Then Kṛṣṇa just said, no, I just wanted to see you, that's all. Now you can go back. That's it. They all went back, and this Brahma was stunned. I was thinking I was a big controller of this universe, and I was, such a big time person, 4 heads, and now I just feel like a small mouse in comparison with all these huge elephants. Then he said, others may say that, they have realized you. Let them say like that. As far as I am concerned, I have not understood anything about you. This he said even I think in the 14th chapter, 10th canto. I'm just guessing here, wild guess. Yeah, wow, that was bingo. 10, 14, 38. Jananta eva janantu jananta eva janantu kim bahuktya name prabho manaso vapusho vacho vaibhavam tava gocharaha. See what he's saying. There are people who say, I know everything about Kṛṣṇa. Let them think that way. As far as I am concerned, I do not wish to speak very much about this matter. With his four heads, he did not want to speak anything about this matter. Oh my Lord, let me say this much. As far as your opulences are concerned, they are all beyond the reach of my mind, body and words. This is what Brahma has said with his four heads. Now here we are in this material world, we think we know everything about God and everything about, and especially Hindus even more so. So you just see the ignorance that is going on. They think they know about Kṛṣṇa. That's why when Kṛṣṇa says, Janma karma cha me divyam evam yo vetti tattvataha tyaktva deham punarjanma naiti mameti sojuna. One who knows the transcendental nature of my appearance and activities does not, upon leaving the body, take his birth again in this material world, but attains my eternal abode, O Arjuna. See that. Why Kṛṣṇa is saying one who knows the transcendental nature of my appearance and activities, when Brahma himself said, I don't know anything about you. When Brahma himself said that, why Kṛṣṇa is asking us to know who are we, how much can we know? The difference is, it is not with that four-headed brain that we can understand Kṛṣṇa, or even with those trillion-headed Brahmas, with their trillions of heads and the trillions of brains, they cannot understand Kṛṣṇa. But if we take shelter of him and receive knowledge from him, then we can understand as much as he has revealed to a certain extent. Just enough for us to be rendering service to Kṛṣṇa. That's why a devotee, there's a nice quote that Prabhupada said, in the 5th canto, there is all about the different planetary systems and how this whole universe was created and how the planets, their speeds of orbits and everything is mentioned. There are so many things. The description of this universe, the planetary systems has been mentioned, and for a materialist that is very interesting and he wants to know more and more and more. But at one point you will feel that this knowledge is inadequate. When you are reading the 5th canto, you will see that, I still have so many more doubts. It's not completely revealed. So once, I don't remember the exact words that Prabhupada said, but if I would have had that exact quotation of Prabhupada, I would have taken it out. I have just read it a few days ago and before also. So some devotee, he wanted to ask, he asked Prabhupada to know more detail about this detail and that detail and this detail. Then Prabhupada said, we are not interested in all these things, in all these details. This is mentioned so that just to satisfy our curiosity that what is this, but because why there is space exploration? Why they are so itching to go to space, spending billions of dollars? Because they have the curiosity to know what is there in the space. And to satisfy that curiosity, there are these descriptions in the Bhagavatam, so that we don't have to waste those billions of dollars and years and lifetimes just perfecting the art of going into space, but rather read about that in a few chapters, get all the knowledge, more than what the scientists can get, and don't delve so much into this, because ultimately our point is not to know all these things. We can never really know the extent of even this material world. What to speak of the spiritual world and the creator of both. So we have to quickly come to the point of accepting the supremacy of God. The whole idea is, there are these millions of planets and all these orbits, the speed of the planets, everything is given. Like the sun moves in its orbits at the speed of 16,000 kilometers a second. That's the speed of the sun. That's also mentioned. So there's so many things mentioned, So all these things that are there are interesting facts, But then we should come to a point where, alright, if this much, if just forget about every other planet and just look at that sun planet, which is moving at 16,000 kilometers a second, and a great fireball that it is, and even our earth that is moving in its own orbit. So all these things, who has even put this into place? We are struggling to create these spacecrafts and trying to perfect the taking off and the landing, and still so many crash landings are happening. Whereas there is no crash, there is perfect movement of the huge spacecrafts called planets. How is all this happening? So it should go to that level of questioning, and then eventually you should be researching on God. So not too much delving into this, what is going on in this material world. That's not the real point of explaining those topics in the Vedas. So Prabhupada said, we are not interested to know all this in details. Actually, we cannot really fathom how this whole material world is even created. Even this one universe, how it is created, we don't even know. The whole point is not to even know that. The whole point is to turn our attention to the Lord, who has created this magnificent universe which can't even be understood with our intelligence. So that's the whole point. So we should know enough to serve Kṛṣṇa and continue in that service without deviation. Therefore, he said, Janma karma cha me divyam, you should know about my activities and my birth. When he reveals, then we can know. So that's why he is revealing in Bhagavatam. By coming down into this earth, he is enacting his pastimes, he is revealing to the world his pastimes. How he is creating or how his pastimes, everything is revealing in this Vedic knowledge. With our head we cannot understand. Brahma was trying to understand Kṛṣṇa with his head, and he was proud that he is the Brahma. Kṛṣṇa told him that you are not the Brahma, you are one of the many Brahmas, and for your information, the smallest one in all of them. And Brahma's pride was crushed. Kṛṣṇa knows how to crush our pride whenever we have it, and he will crush it to powder. So that is Kṛṣṇa. So we have to understand how small actually we are and how big this whole grand arrangement is, but entirely it will be destroyed. Therefore, as Kṛṣṇa said, we'll just go to this verse and come back. 10.42 of Bhagavad-Gita, Kṛṣṇa says, well, Arjuna, athava bahunayatena kim gyantena tavarjuna vishtabhyaham idam Kṛṣṇam ekam shena sthito jagat. But what need is there, Arjuna, for all these detailed knowledge about this material world he was speaking about? With a single fragment of myself, I pervade and support this entire universe. So what do you want to know? How much you want to know about me? Even if I were to talk for eternity, you will never understand still. That is the extent of my glories. Just know this much, that with a single tiny fragment of myself, I support this entire universe. And therefore, just now in the purport, it is said that this is Ekapad Vibhuti. Ekapad Vibhuti means 1/4 of the total creation or energy of Kṛṣṇa, this material world. Whatever we see in this universe and whatever we can't see in this universe, that is just one universe, which is like one mustard seed in a bag of mustard seeds. And that whole bag of mustard seeds of universes, with its millions and trillions of Brahmas, each with trillions and billions of heads and whatever, all that is the material world. And that is only 1/4 of his energy. The rest 3/4 of his energy is in the spiritual world. And just imagine, if this material world is so big and this is only 1/4, what will the 3/4 be? It is said that in the 3/4, the spiritual energy, there are innumerable Vaikuntha planets, more numerous than the number of universes in the material world. And each Vaikuntha planet is bigger than the entire material world combined, with all the universes combined. Each Vaikuntha planet is bigger. And Kṛṣṇa Loka, the Goloka Vrindavan, is the biggest. It is so big that all the Vaikuntha Lokas together are smaller than the Kṛṣṇa Loka. Now just try to fathom this whole thing. God is not in some remote part, in one small corner, not like that. That Goloka Vrindavan and the whole Vaikuntha region is enormously big. We are in that small corner, which is just like the example is given. The sky is vast. Sky is so big, but the cloud is very small. Sometimes the whole sky is covered with cloud, right? The cloud appears very big, right? But actually, if you go out, if you zoom out from the earth and look at those clouds, the whole earth itself with all its clouds and whatever it is just one small speck of dust in the infinite space of this material world. So the cloud is actually very, very small. It only appears big because of we are covered by it, our vision is covered by it, and therefore it appears so big. But it appears to cover not only the sun but the entire sky, and sun looks like one small spot in the sky, and that is just like covered with the entire cloud, which is so big. But actually the sun is so big and the earth is so small, and in that the cloud is so small, but we are just covered by that. That's why it appears the biggest. Our defective vision, you see that? So that's why we have this distorted view of the whole existence, because we see from our minute perspective everything in a much different way than Krishna sees it. We think this material world is big, and then Krishna is somewhere very far in one spot, one small planet called Goloka Vrindavan somewhere. No, that is the overbearing existence actually. We are in that minute existence. Just like the sun is huge and the cloud is so small. So this material world is like the cloud, which is just like covering our vision of Krishna. But otherwise, this is just Ekpad Vibhuti. This is the inferior energy. Beyond the jurisdiction of Brahma is the spiritual nature, which is called Tripad Vibhuti, 3/4 of the Lord's energy. This is the superior energy or Para Prakriti. The predominating supreme person. I think the incident of Brahma visiting Krishna in Dwarka, I think it's mentioned in the Chaitanya Charitamrita, I think. Probably, maybe not 10th canto. But there is a Nectar of Devotion also where Krishna in the Brahma Vimohan Leela, when he stole the cowherd boys, then also it happened. In the 10:14:38 verse, anyway, the predominating, so the spiritual nature is called Tripad Vibhuti, which is the 3/4 energy of the Lord, which is a superior energy of Paraprakriti. The predominating supreme person residing within the spiritual nature is Lord Sri Krishna. As confirmed in the Bhagavad-Gita 8.22, he can be approached only by unalloyed devotional service and not by the processes of jnana, philosophy, yoga, mysticism or karma, fruitive work. What is that? Even 1855, Bhaktya, how come I forgot that verse? Matta smriti jnanam apohanam cha. 1855, Bhaktya mam abhijanati yavan yaschasmi tattvataha. You see, one can understand me as I am, as the Supreme Personality of Godhead, only by devotional service. I thought this was the only verse in Bhagavad Gita which says this, but Prabhupada has mentioned 8.22. Purushah saparah partha bhaktya labhyastvananyaya. See that? Bhaktya labhyastvananyaya. Yasyantah sthani bhutani yena sarvamidam tatam. The Supreme Personality of Godhead, who is greater than all, is attainable by unalloyed devotion. So here also it is mentioned the same thing. Bhaktyaham ekaya grahya. Canto 11, chapter 14, text 21. And Bhaktya mam abhijanati, 18.55, and this 8.22 also. Purusha saparah partha bhaktya labhyastvananyaya. He is all pervading and everything is situated within him. So he can be approached only by unalloyed devotion and not by the processes of jnana, yoga or karma. The karmis or fruitive workers can elevate themselves to the Svargaloka planets, which include the sun and the moon. Jnanis and yogis can attain still higher planets such as Maharloka, Tapaloka and Brahmaloka. And when they become still more qualified through devotional service, they can enter into the spiritual nature, either the illuminating cosmic atmosphere of the spiritual sky, Brahman, or the Vaikuntha planets according to their qualification. It is certain, however, that no one can enter into the spiritual Vaikuntha planets without being trained in devotional service. So according to the qualification, they will either be in the spiritual Brahma Jyoti, in the sky, spiritual sky, suspended as one particle of the infinite rays of Krishna, that is impersonal, merging into the absolute truth. So that's where they will end up. Or if they are trained in devotional service, they are admitted into the Vaikuntha planets. They get visa. They get visa to enter into the Vaikuntha planets. Otherwise they have no visa, they will just have to be suspended in the spiritual sky. So the visa for entering into the Vaikuntha planets is devotional service. They have to be trained in devotional service. Otherwise they cannot enter. Restricted entry. On the material planets, everyone from Brahma down to the ant is trying to lord it over material nature. And this is the material disease. We all want to be the Lord here, that's our disease. As long as this material disease continues, the living entity has to undergo the process of bodily change. Whether he takes the form of a man, demigod or animal, he ultimately has to endure an unmanifested condition during the two devastations. You see this? Whether he takes the form of a man, demigod or animal, he ultimately has to endure an unmanifested condition during the two devastations. The devastation during the night of Brahma and the devastation at the end of Brahma's life. So at which time we are in the unmanifest stage. We're just like a small spiritual atom, the size of 1/10,000th, the tip of the hair, that's small, and just waiting for the next creation to happen at Brahma's daytime. Just waiting. And then when Brahma dies, we're waiting for the entire duration of equivalent to the Brahma's lifetime. We're waiting for the next creation to happen. So this is how we are waiting, as if waiting for something important that's worth it, right? If you are in a big queue, say for example, and you're waiting, and if at the end of the queue you're just going to get some keychain or some soft toy, like those teddy bear and all that, the meaningless stuff. And if you're waiting in a queue, like millions of people in the queue, billions of people, and for like maybe 3-4 years you have to wait for, just say 3-4 years, you have to wait, and then once you get at the end of the queue, then you are gifted, yay, take this soft toy. How would you like that? Is it even worth waiting for something that meaningless? But we have been waiting. We are that foolish people. We are laughing now, but that is our foolishness. We have been waiting all that while patiently. Okay, let the creation happen. Okay, I'm waiting. And once it happens, what we're doing? Eating, sleeping, mating, defending, passing urine, passing stool. This is what we're doing in this world. And for just this small thing, we have waited so long. And waiting, millions of, not just once this happened. 18,000 days of Brahma have passed. 18,000 times 4.32 billion years. Calculate. What kind of nonsense we have done in this world. And that is just this Brahma. And what about before this universe? Unimaginable. For such a small, paltry sense gratification, we have done so much. We have been patient. And now when we come to Kṛṣṇa consciousness, we are impatient. We want perfection immediately. How is that possible? We have to be so patient for this. Of course, Kṛṣṇa he said, I am the swift deliverer. He said in Bhagavad-Gita, chapter 12, 6th and 7th verses. Yastu sarvani karmani maya sanyasya matparaha ananyenaiva yogena mam dhyayanta upasate tesham aham samuddharta mrityu samsara sagarat bhavani nachirat partha mayyaveshita chetasam. But those who worship me, giving up all their activities unto me and being devoted to me without deviation, engaged in devotional service and always meditating upon me, having fixed their minds upon me, O son of Pritha, for them I am the swift deliverer from the ocean of birth and death. Swift, when he says swift, very swift. Compared to our long wait in this material world that we have done for sense gratification. So swift means not like, oh, I chanted Prabhu today 16 rounds. Where is Kṛṣṇa? I still cannot see him. Where is the spiritual world? Where is all that thing you have said? Prabhupada said, yes, 1 second is enough to become Kṛṣṇa conscious. 1 second. But the thing is, we have not given up our material life. That's why it is taking millions of years. That's why it's taking so long. So, even then, just imagine, for now, some of you must have been in the Kṛṣṇa consciousness movement for 1 year, or for a few months, or some of you are here for a few years. Some of you for a few decades. Centuries? No, I mean we don't live that long. But this long we have been. Right? So many years. This is just compared to what we have waited for our eating, sleeping, mating and defending. This is so fast. And just see what the progress you have made. From when you were a non-devotee, what were you and now what are you? In your consciousness, in your habits. No meat eating, no illicit sex, no gambling, no intoxication, and your love for Kṛṣṇa, the purity that you experience now is much more than what it was in the beginning when you started off. So we can always see that change comparatively. So we have come some distance. Of course, we still have a lot to perfect in our lives, but we have come some distance. It's not completely nothing is happening. Yeah, sometimes it does happen like that a devotee is like so-called devotee with for 30-40 years, but nothing changes. Why? Because he's not taken it seriously. Bahujanma kare jodi Shravana Kirtan tabutana paya Kṛṣṇa pade premadhan. Not only 30 years. It is said, if one is infested with the 10 offenses in the chanting of the Hare Krishna Mahamantra, despite his endeavor to chant the holy name for many births, he will not get the love of Godhead. That is the ultimate goal of this chanting. He will not get. If you are committing offenses, we will not get this. So therefore, we have to cease our offenses. We must sincerely try. Then there will be progress. Yes. Then, on the material planets, everyone from Brahma down to the ant is trying to lord it over material nature. Okay, we have read all this. So the devastation, we have to endure the two devastations, the Brahma's night and Brahma's and the end of Brahma's life. If we want to put an end to this process of repeated birth and death, as well as the concomitant factors of old age and disease, we must try to enter the spiritual planets, where we can live eternally in the association of Lord Kṛṣṇa or his plenary expansions, his Narayana forms. Lord Kṛṣṇa or his plenary expansions dominate every one of these innumerable planets. In the spiritual world, every Vaikuntha planet is dominated by a Narayana, different forms of Narayana. See? A fact confirmed in the Shruti mantras, Eko Vashi Sarvagah Kṛṣṇa Idyah, Eko Pisan Bahudha Yova Bhati, Gopala Tapani Upanishad, First Mandala, 3rd chapter, 21st verse. No one can dominate Kṛṣṇa. It is the conditioned soul who tries to dominate material nature and is instead subjected to the laws of material nature and the sufferings of repeated birth and death. The Lord comes here to re-establish the principles of religion, and the basic principle is the development of an attitude of surrender to Him. So in the religion, the real religion means to develop an attitude of surrender to Him. 1866, that is explained here. This is the Lord's last instruction in the Bhagavad-Gita, 18.66. Sarvadharman parityajya mamekam sharanam vraja. Give up all other processes and just surrender unto me alone. Unfortunately, foolish men have misinterpreted this prime teaching and misled the masses of people in diverse ways. People have been urged to open hospitals but not to educate themselves to enter into the spiritual kingdom by devotional service. I'll give you an example. I have given this example a few times before. But this example is when I met with this lady, when I was distributing books on the street. I met this lady. She had some little knowledge of Bhagavad-Gita, but then she learned it from Mayavad sources. Then she said, I said, because Kṛṣṇa says in the Bhagavad-Gita that we have to surrender to Him. Sarvadharman parityajya, I showed her the verse. So there Kṛṣṇa says what? You see here? Give up all other processes and just surrender unto me alone, right? So she said, this Bhagavad-Gita, Bhagavan, we are actually non-different from Bhagavan. This is because Mayavad philosophy is like this. We are one with God. Now just that we have forgotten it. Now we have to remember it. And that's why when we see the word surrender to me, because I am reading it, surrender to me. So I have to surrender to myself. We are not surrendering to ourselves, we have to actually surrender to ourselves. And then we will be realizing that we are actually infinite. Talking like nonsense like this. So, then I said, okay ma'am, that's good. So let me say this. So when you see surrender to me means that surrender to me, right? I mean yourself, right? Okay. I will give all my money to you. I am saying this to you. I will give all my money to you. So when you hear it, it is I will give all my money to you. So you will give me all your money to me? Is that what it is? Huh? If somebody is saying surrender to me means you have to surrender to him. How can you say this means when you are reading it surrender to me, so it is surrender to me? What kind of foolish creature you are? Then I will say I will give all my money to you. Then that means you are saying I will give all my money to you. So give all your money, give me. Now what? No, it's not like that. Then what? Now it is not like that when it comes to money. When it comes to God, yes, anything is possible. Any nonsense interpretation is possible, is it? What kind of nonsense is that? So then she got defeated. Yes. Then she went away. I think she took one small book. At least some book went, But this is how they are, thinking, these people. Unfortunately, foolish men have misinterpreted this prime teaching and misled the masses of people in diverse ways. People have been urged to open hospitals, but not educate themselves to enter into the spiritual kingdom by devotional service. They have been taught to take interest only in temporary relief work, which can never bring real happiness to the living entity. And actually, those charitable organizations, I have built hospitals, I have built schools in Africa. These are just make show, just to make us believe that they are doing something, So this is actually useless service. The real thing is to give them spiritual knowledge. First of all, if I don't have it, how can I give others? So we have to first janma sarthak kori karo paropakar. They want to do paropakar to everybody, but they don't know how to perfect their own life, and they want to perfect other people's lives. This is like trying to save somebody who is drowning without myself knowing how to swim. This is the kind of thing they're doing, and it's put on a pedestal. The so-called charitable activities are put on a pedestal. Oh, I have done charity. I have given charity. Oh, big deal. What is that? What is this charity all about? Just taking care of the bodily necessities. The soul is suffering, and repeated birth and death. Nothing. They're not even thinking. They have been taught to take interest only in temporary relief work, which can never bring real happiness to the living entity. They start varieties of public and semi-governmental institutions to tackle the devastating power of nature. See there. Why they are doing all this charity? Because they want to tackle the devastating power of nature, but they don't know how to pacify insurmountable nature. Māmevaya prapadyante māyametam tarantite. We have to surrender to Kṛṣṇa. Without that, they're not going to succeed. But when we say this, they will try to silence us. They don't want this. Many men are advertised as great scholars of the Bhagavad-Gita, but they overlook the Gita's message, by which material nature can be pacified. They are scholars of Gita, but in that Gita it is said, Māmevaya prapadyante māyametam tarantite. Only by surrender to Kṛṣṇa can you cross. But that they cannot understand. What kind of scholar they are. But they are passed as great scholars. They pass as great scholars in this world. So they overlook the Gita's message by which material nature can be pacified. Powerful nature can be pacified only by awakening of God consciousness, as clearly pointed out in Bhagavad-Gita 7.14. In this mantra, Īśopaniṣad teaches that one must perfectly know both Sambhuti, the personality of Godhead, and Vinasha, the temporary material manifestation, side by side. By knowing the material manifestation alone, one cannot be saved, for in the course of nature there is devastation at every moment. Ahanyahani bhutani gacchanti hayamalayam. This is the thing. By knowing the material manifestation alone, one cannot be saved. This is why material education is useless, absolutely useless in saving us from this cycle of birth and death. Absolutely useless. We can have more information about material nature from Kṛṣṇa. To use some skills in Krishna consciousness, that's another thing. But that also need not have a degree. Nowadays you can learn practical skills even online if you want. Even if you want to, say how to live stream. Even now that I'm live streaming like this, people usually how they live stream. They'll put a phone and then they will live stream from the phone. So you just see the person's face. But this screen here, this is a little higher production value. So this is more advanced. You just can't do with a phone like that. So how to do all these things? Needs some technical know-how. I don't need a degree for this though. This is just little bit you can learn on the internet, and then you can learn how to do it. So it is just, these are practical skills that we need. We can always learn, and actually many things are there in the Vedas already. How Sanjaya got this telecast from the what is that, Kurukshetra. So this was already there before. In the yogic way it was done before. It is not there. Of course, in Kali Yuga, we are not as powerful. So we have these devices. Fine. Use it in Krishna's service. It's not that we have to go out of our way, spend years and years in universities where we associate. The main thing is not the knowledge, not just the knowledge that we are getting from there, and which is, by the way, most of it is not usable anyway after the university is finished. If any is at all usable, most of it is not usable, if any at all. And the main thing is not just that, we are associating with those materialists, and that association brings us into all kinds of contamination. We have distorted views of the world and our life because of that, even if we are devotees. If we are going to those places and workplace, when we associate too intimately with them and make friends and giggle and laugh about useless things and discuss useless things, we will have a distorted view of, even though we may be devotees. For example, the children, even if they are devotees children, for example, when they go to universities, yes, they have some Krishna conscious background, but then they will not be strong in that determination, and they will have also some material ideas and spiritual ideas all mixed up, like a khichdi, and actually it becomes a kachada, which means garbage. So that will be the result. The real thing is to understand that we are actually the soul and nothing to do with this material body, and we don't need any of this university. This is just a farce. It's just a system of Maya. It's just a system that is developed by all the Kali Chelas. Why should we subscribe to that? And why should we even take that seriously? Having understood what is spiritual life, right? Sometimes random, some not very advanced yet, just like coming into devotional service and something like that, and sometimes even devotees. They say, Prabhu, I just got admitted into this, or I just got some good grades, or exam is coming, so please bless me, Prabhu, and I want to get good grades. I always tell them, this is not at all a blessing. Okay, you are getting entangled in this material world by thinking that you have done very well, and then you will pursue even more. Where is your pursuance of spiritual life? How many rounds are you chanting? Prabhu, nowadays difficult, Prabhu, because exams are coming. No, I cannot chant so many. Then you are becoming failure, and then you want me to bless. First of all, I have no power to bless anything. I am a fallen soul. I need blessings. But asking blessings for passing examinations or getting admission into some university or some whatever it is, these are not blessings at all. These are not blessings at all. Jadavidya jatam mayar vaibhav. And even if one is a straight A student, or GPA 4.0, or distinction, doesn't mean anything. It doesn't mean anything. It is their standards of what is great. That means, what it is actually? They will give you a gold medal. Oh, academics, number one. That means what? Wow, you are a first class Shudra. Congratulations. You can really go into these companies and then become a first class Shudra. Congratulations. They just put an award for becoming qualified to become a Shudra. So that's what it is basically. Real knowledge is when we understand Vedas from the bona fide spiritual master. That is what should be what is that? put on a pedestal, because that actually deserves the pedestal, right? This material knowledge doesn't deserve any pedestal. It is an impediment in the service of the Lord. The time is lost. The time that is spent in university is lost. Associating with wrong people, everything is just destructive. It's a vinasha, the path of vinasham. It's not a path of sambhuti. By knowing the material manifestation alone, one cannot be saved. That's why material knowledge is not effective. For in the course of nature there is devastation at every moment. Ahanyahani bhutani gachanti hayamalayam. Nor can one be saved from these devastations by the opening of hospitals. One can be saved only by complete knowledge of the eternal life and of bliss and awareness. The whole Vedic scheme is meant to educate men in this art of attaining eternal life. People are often misguided by temporary attractive things based on sense gratification, but service rendered to the sense objects is both misleading and degrading. It's not only misleading, but it's degrading. We must, therefore, save ourselves and our fellow man in the right way. There is no question of liking or disliking the truth. It is there. If we want to be saved from repeated birth and death, we must take to the devotional service of the Lord. There can be no compromise, for this is a matter of necessity. It's an emergency. We have wasted enough time. We cannot keep on saying, Prabhu, give me some time, Prabhu, give me some time. How much time you want? How much time do we want here? Krishna has given so much time. We have not made any decision yet. Right? Now, how much more, having understood, Krishna has sent Prabhupada to us, and he sent this whole movement and all this knowledge. Why do we want to wait still? We are not serious about it. Krishna is more serious about bringing us back than we are to, in going back to him. We are not serious about it. We are adamant to stay here in this material world. Our dog obstinacy. How much ever the tail is, made straight, it will go back again, curly. So that's how we are, like a dog obstinacy. We are not at all, thinking of going back. Always thinking how to enjoy this material world. So foolishness. So therefore we have to become serious, and that is this Krishna consciousness movement. Alright, now we will take questions. Wow, so many questions. Bhakta Virendra, no one is greater or equal to Lord Krishna in Vaishnava consciousness. That is not in Vaishnava consciousness, that is the fact. And Vaishnava just knows the fact. It is not his speculation. This is highest God consciousness. However, Shaivas claim Lord Shiva to be the greatest, and Shaktas claim Goddess Durga as the greatest God, highest God. Demigod worshippers claim their God to be highest. Why Krishna created men of different God consciousness, even though he instructed completely surrender unto me in 1866 verse of Bhagavad-Gita? As I said already before in many of these sessions, that people generally do not want to surrender to Krishna in this material world. Therefore, Krishna has given these proxies, demigods, so that even if it is avidhi-purvakam, it is not in the proper way, at least start worshipping my parts and parcels. It's like when you meet Prabhupada gave this example. When you meet a sadhu, a great saintly person, the proper way to touch him is touch his feet. But if you go and, hi, hello, how are you? How sadhu, how are you? Good? Is that a proper way of going and meeting a sadhu and touching him? Like I'll actually show you the verse where it is said that one must touch the. Okay. Let's see this. 9:4. Oh, Krishna. Srimad Bhagavatam, Canto 9, Chapter 4, text 18 through 20. You see, this is King Ambarish Maharaj. How he engaged all his senses in the service of the Lord. And I just want to bring your attention to this. This line. Tadbhritya gatra sparshenga sangamam. This line, okay? Here it is translated. We will go to the. He engaged he engaged his sense of touching the body of the Lord's devotees. This does not mean some molesting, actually one person asked me like that. How come, Prabhu? It is said that Ambarish Maharaj engaged his sense of touching the body of devotee. How can, is this not molestation? Come on. I mean, touching the bodies of devotees doesn't mean that. Of course, one should not touch inappropriately. But there is a proper way. This requires more explanation. See, touching the bodies of devotees means when we are seeing the advanced devotees, we should touch their feet. This we will see in Krishna's dealings with his devotees. Whenever he meets Krishna, like for example the Pandavas, best example, Pandavas. So when the Pandavas see Krishna, 5 of them, right? So Krishna's age is similar as Arjuna's age. And the Nakula and Sahadev, they are younger, and Yudhishthira and Bhima, they are older. But sometimes Bhima is also considered about the same age. So when Krishna comes, how they greet Krishna? So the Nakula and Sahadev, they bow down and touch his feet. Arjuna, he embraces him. And Bhima also embraces him as a friend. Whereas Yudhishthira, Krishna touches Yudhishthira Maharaj's feet. Sometimes Yudhishthira Maharaj embraces him. Of course, this is the relationship of Krishna. You see, so he is teaching us how to behave with different devotees. So if you see in the Nectar of Instruction also, Krishneti yasya giritam manasadriyeta dikshasti chet pranatibhischa bhajantamisham sushrushaya bhajana vigyamananyamanya nindadi shunya hridamipsita sangalabdhya. So different kind of grades of devotees, we have to offer our respects differently. One who is chanting Hare Krishna, we have to offer him obeisances in our mind, offer him respects in our mind. Those who have taken initiation, we have to bow down to them. Not that it is okay to bow down even to a person not initiated. It's not that, the Nectar of Instruction says, I have to only respect in the mind only. So, when he's bowing down, I should just remain like this. No, we have to bow down. So, but generally, this is how it is. So, we have to respect, this person is chanting Hare Krishna, but he is maybe still materialistically involved, whatever. At least he's chanting, so that respect, but then again train him up to become more advanced. And then those who are initiated, we have to bow down to them. And those who are very advanced in devotional service, we have to serve them and take instruction from them. So this is how we have to associate with different devotees. And even touching is the same thing. When we see our spiritual master or some advanced devotee, touch his feet. That is the proper way. And equals, then yes, embracing, like that. And younger devotees, junior, because usually the elders, they touch the head of the youngers, right? Like blessing, or like Prabhupada, when some children used to come to him, then he used to pull their sikha, he used to pull their sikha like this and smile at them. So like that, in different, according to the age, according to the advancement, that's how differently it has to be done. But if one goes to the spiritual master and says, hello, how are you? Well and good. And that is not proper way of doing it. That is avidhi purvakam. But so similarly, demigod worship is avidhi purvakam. But still, Krishna is so merciful. All right, even if you want to do it avidhi purvakam, at least come in contact with me first. Even do through my part and parcel, the demigods. At least start coming in contact with me first. Just like Putana. Putana also touched Krishna. Instead of touching his feet, or like your mother Yashoda taking care of him nicely, she put poison on her breast and she made Krishna suck her breast and then wanted to kill him. Such an evil intention. But for Krishna, what is evil? Because there is no death for him. So he took, this is anyway nothing for me, I will bless her. So although it is avidhi purvakam, the way Putana came to him was totally wrong. But still Krishna is so kind that he elevated her. That's why when Shukadeva Goswami heard this, his mind completely changed from impersonal to personal. Because how kam vadayalum sharanam vrajema, how can I meet somebody more merciful than this? That even if one comes with a wrong intention, he purifies us. So therefore, similarly, to purify us, even though we have a wrong intention, we want sense gratification, still Krishna has given us the demigod worship, so that even if you want to come to me like Putana did, okay fine, come to me at least. I will purify you. At least come to me first. That is demigod worship. Of course, finally Krishna gave his verdict in the 18.66 where he says, surrender unto me. That is the most properly, that is vidhi anusar, that is actual vidhi, that is actual rule, favorably. Anukulyena Kṛṣṇanusilanam bhaktiruttama. Real devotional service is to be done favorably. Although that is Krishna's mercy that he will purify us even if we come with a wrong motive, like Chaturvidha bhajante mam, janmani sukritino arjuna. He said in the 7th chapter, 16th verse of Bhagavad-Gita, whoever comes to me out of distress, out of desire for material wealth and all, they are pious. He called them pious. Actually, there is nonsense. But the pious is that they have come to him. That desire is nonsense, sense gratification. But he took the good part. That at least they have come to me instead of going to demigods, because they could have gone to demigods, or they could have gone to some other, maybe some, who is that? This loan sharks. This loan. That is also kind of, you are taking help from them to take a loan and then doing, fulfilling whatever debts you have. So that is one way. Or you can go to demigods and ask for wealth, or you can come to Kṛṣṇa to ask for wealth. So all the way, whether you go to the loan shark, or whether you go to the demigod, or whether you go to Kṛṣṇa, your desire is the same. You want your distress to be mitigated, whether it be financial or whether it be some other distress or whatever it is, whatever problem it is. Sometimes when they are distressed, they go to counselor. Even whether you go to counselor, demigod or Kṛṣṇa, again, your thing is you want to solve that problem, that problem which you have come for. But Kṛṣṇa, if you come to him, he will give you ichhapidhanam, anichchatam. Even if you do not want Kṛṣṇa's lotus feet, he is so merciful that he will give you. So therefore, because you have come to the right place for it, you are called Sukritina, pious soul. Just like the scientists, they also want to be immortal. The devotees also want to be immortal. They also want to get out of these clutches of birth and death. But the devotees become successful. Just like perfect example, Hiranyakashipu, Prahlad. Hiranyakashipu wanted to become immortal in this material world. Prahlad Maharaj wanted to become immortal in the spiritual world. And not only he wanted to become immortal, he wanted to take everybody and make them immortal also. But whereas Hiranyakashipu, he wanted to become immortal in the material world and destroy everybody else. He wanted to go have Sambhuti in the Vinasham place, and he wanted to Vinasha everybody, destroy everybody. But then what happened? He got destroyed. But Prahlad Maharaj, though he did not try any yogic power, mystic power, but he was saved. Just like Durvasa and Ambarish. So many examples like this. Okay, next question. By Vishnu Teja. Prabhu, is the Mars mission a hoax like the moon landing, or is it close to the earth like the planet Rahu? So we know, even if their spacecraft goes to Mars, they will see some barren land. They are not going to see all the life forms. It's not the way it is. They want to see life as they know here. Just like, for example, I'll give you ghosts. Ghosts, they can't see, right? But there are ghosts. Similarly, higher than the ghosts are the Gandharvas, higher than the Gandharvas, the Siddhas, the Charanas, the Asuras, and then the Devatas. If ghosts itself they cannot see, what to speak of Vidyadharas, Charanas, Asuras, Devatas, Kinnaras, all where they can see. They can't even see even if they go there. So they will not gain anything from that. And if they really went there, they shouldn't come back. Because actually Mars is a heavenly planet. But they can't, they come back. That means what? That means they have no shelter there. So either whether they reach or not reach, actually they are not going to reach. But even say they reach, okay fine, okay, you said you reached, okay fine, let me accept that you reached. Then why did you come back? Did you see anything there? Some red color, is it? That's all you saw. What is that? Here we have information, there is so much life on the sun also. Of course you cannot go to the sun. You will say sun, nobody can live. Because you cannot live. Is that, that's why we don't take these things seriously. Even if they actually go there also, they're not going to find anything. They're not going to see anything. First try to see ghosts in this world first, at least. That also cannot be seen. And then you want to see some what? Demigods. Next, Vishnu Teja has another question. Prabhu, how old is the earth? Well, since the day of Brahma, since this day of Brahma started, that's when this earth was created. And in this day, okay, let's do the math. So, there are 71 cycles of each Manu. So, in a day of Brahma, there are 14 Manus. And this is the 7th Manu and 28th cycle of 71 cycles. So, we'll get approximately an answer. Let's see. Okay. 4 million. What is that? This is one cycle of the 4 yugas, right? Times 71 is this. This is one Manu's time. And already 6 Manus have passed. So times 6 plus 4, this one, times, this is the 28th cycle. So 27 cycles have finished. So times 27. I hope this does the proper way. I'm hoping this calculator does the proper way. And this is the answer. Plus 3 yugas have passed. Now this Kali Yuga is 5,000 years, right? So 3 yugas, which is plus 1, 2, 3, 6, 4, 3, 2, 7, 9. 9 times 432,000 plus, there you go, 1.9 billion years, 1.96 billion years. That's the calculation. Yeah, Virendra Prabhu, yeah, correct. So that's about how old the earth is. Because every day of Brahma it is created, right? So in the current day of Brahma, that much amount of years, earth years have passed. So Virendra Prabhu is very good at maths, I think. And then next question by Bhakta Virendra. Unless and until 6 vices, namely lust, anger, greed, envy, attachment and illusion, are not completely eradicated by a devotee, the Supreme Lord doesn't reveal himself and neither devotee's bhakti is successful. It's not exactly not successful. It is in the process of becoming successful. It is on the path. So it is not successful. That Arjuna asked in the 6th chapter of Bhagavad-Gita. So what happens to a person if he gives up material life and takes to spiritual life with full enthusiasm, but then halfway across he gives up the path and falls away from it? What happens to such a person? Is he now a loser in material life and spiritual life and he become a complete loser? Or what is the situation? So Krishna said, no, whatever he has done, that is carries forward, and next life he will start from where he left off. So it's never unsuccessful. We should not get that wrong. These 6 vices represent the 6 demons which appeared in each yuga, namely Hiranyakshi, Hiranyakashipu in Satya, Ravana and Kumbhakarna in Treta, and Shishupala and Dantavakra in Dvapara. Actually, I did not see this explanation that 6 vices represent the 6 demons, Hiranyakashipu, Hiranyaksha. The 6 vices is kind of compared to the 6 sons of Devaki who died. That yes, but the 6 demons, I have not seen that. Can you show me any reference from the Vedas that these 6, the 3 incarnations of Jaya and Vijaya are the 6 vices? These 6 vices also represent the 6 sons of Devaki killed by Kamsa, and then Sankarshan Bhagavan and Bhagavan Kṛṣṇa appeared. To conclude, the 6 vices hampers devotional service and makes the devotee take repeated birth and death. Definitely, 6 vices hampers our devotional service and gives us repeated birth and death. But when we take to devotional service, it's never unsuccessful. Swalpamapyasya dharmasya trayate mahato bhayat. Even a little advancement is never goes in vain. And the 3 incarnations of Jaya and Vijay being compared to the 6 vices, that is not very much exactly. I did not hear that before. As far as I have read, as far as I remember, I don't remember this. If you have some reference, please show. Otherwise, I don't think that's true. The next question by Vishnu Teja. Is the earth recreated after every partial dissolution, or is it the same at the beginning of the universe? It's recreated every time. Bhakta Virendra. Is the Milky Way galaxy the material universe of our 4-headed Brahma? Our nearest galaxy, Andromeda galaxy, is a different material universe? No. Our thing is not about the Milky Way galaxy. What we see, we may see as a Milky Way galaxy, but what we see may not be the truth, right? Like, we can't rely on our senses. Even if they see in their telescopes some Milky Way galaxy, that's not exactly the way the universe, planetary systems are described in in the Bhagavatam. It is a totally different description. There's an axis, and then the pole star is right at the apex of the axis, and every planet is moving in clockwise direction about the pole star axis. So there's a whole different explanation of how planets move. So it's not that the galaxy is the universe. Whatever we see, whatever we can possibly see and what we cannot see, everything is in this universe. We cannot see Andromeda galaxy is another universe. I mean, how can we see another universe? There is a shell so tightly packed. This universe is like the other verse we read, that is like a coconut. It's like a coconut, right? Coconut shell. Inside is super dense, dark. The sun is required to illuminate it. So therefore, whatever we see is within that shell only. We cannot see anything outside the shell. It's not another universe is outside the shell. So how can some galaxy be another universe? No, we can never see anything outside the shell. So these galaxies and all, again, these are all terms of the Western. We don't need to exactly match those words with our Vedic this thing, because why we have to match something perfect and imperfect and to have a perfect match? How can perfect and imperfect have a perfect match? That's not possible. Next, where exactly is the story about the Brahmas from different universes? So there is one in the Nectar of Devotion, which is the Brahma Vimohan Leela, and another is, I think, in the Bhagavatam, but somewhere I saw a comment that it's in the Chaitanya Charitamrita somewhere. So somehow I don't remember. But Nectar of Devotion, I know that Brahma Vimohan Leela is there, where he saw the many Brahmas. I don't know, if I want to take it out, it will take some time. Let's try one search, and if we can find it, we find it. Otherwise, whoever can find it, then we put in the comments maybe. Nectar of Devotion. You see? Astonishment. 33rd chapter of Nectar of Devotion. Once Brahma was watching all the cows and cowherd boys dressed in yellow garments and decorated with valuable jewels. The boys were expanding their forearms when were being worshipped by many hundreds of other Brahmas. All the cowherd boys began to express their joyfulness for being with Kṛṣṇa, the Supreme Brahman. At that time, Brahma showed his astonishment by exclaiming, What am I seeing here? This is an instance of astonishment and ecstatic love. So he saw, the many hundreds of other Brahmas. So this is one. This is mentioned in the 33rd chapter of the Nectar of Devotion. The other one, I don't know if it is already mentioned in the comments, that the exact source, I don't see it. But, it's in the 21st chapter. Yeah, it's Madhya Leela, 21st chapter. And I don't think it's in the 10th canto, right? Yeah. So it is not in the 10th canto, I'm sorry. It's in the 21st chapter of the. You see? Why did you inquire which Brahma had come to see you? What is the purpose of such an inquiry? Brahma asked Kṛṣṇa. Is there any other Brahma besides me within this universe? Upon hearing this, Sri Kṛṣṇa smiled and immediately meditated. Unlimited Brahmas arrived instantly. These Brahmas had different numbers of heads, 10 heads, 20, 100, 1,000, 10,000, 100,000, 10 million, 100 million. No one can count the number of faces they had. There were also arrived many Lord Shivas also, with various heads numbering 100,000 and 10 million. Many Indras also arrived. Wow, not only Brahma, you see. And they had hundreds of thousands of eyes all over their bodies. When the four-headed Brahma of this universe saw all these opulences of Kṛṣṇa, he became very much bewildered and considered himself a rabbit among many elephants. All the Brahmas who came to see Kṛṣṇa offered their respects at his lotus feet, and when they did this, their helmets touched his lotus feet. No one can estimate the inconceivable potency of Kṛṣṇa. All the Brahmas who were there were resting in the one body of Kṛṣṇa. When all the helmets struck together at Kṛṣṇa's lotus feet, there was a tumultuous sound. It appeared that the helmets themselves were offering prayers unto Kṛṣṇa's lotus feet. With folded hands, all the Brahmas and Shivas began to offer prayers to Lord Kṛṣṇa, saying, O Lord, you have shown me a great favor. I have been able to see your lotus feet. All of them then said, It is my great fortune, Lord, that you have called me, thinking of me as your servant. Now let me know what your order is, so that I may carry it on my heads. Lord Krishna replied, since I wanted to see all of you together, I have called all of you here. All of you should be happy. Is there any fear from the demons? They replied, by your mercy, we are victorious everywhere. So, that is the pastime. So, alright, we have got the answers for both. Chaitanya Charitamrita 21st chapter, Madhya Lila, and Nectar of Devotion 33rd chapter. Next, Bhakta Virendra Prabhu's question. In Krishna consciousness, do the devotees try to see God in devotion, or God sees his surrendered devotee? Yeah. So, Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur said, don't try to see God, act in such a way that God wants to see you. So, that is basically devotional service. So, if we engage in devotional service, as one of the characteristics of devotional service is Kṛṣṇa Karshani. It is Kṛṣṇa Karshani. So, it attracts Krishna. So, God will come and see you. Just like Anejadekam Manasojaviyo. So, even if you run at the speed of the mind, you cannot see him, right? But Dhruv Maharaj, by standing in one place, he was meditating and the Lord himself came to him. So, like that, Prahlad Maharaj, he was just rendering devotional service and the Lord came to him, Narasimhadev. So, always it has been the Lord coming. Even Gajendra offered his prayers and the Lord came. So, we cannot reach the Lord. The Lord can reach us. And when he reaches us, then we can be in association with him. So, the whole thing is how to get him to reach us. Kṛṣṇa Karshani. This is bhakti. Only bhakti can attract him. So, that's why Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur said, act in such a way that God will see you. Don't try to see God. Bhakta Virendra's question again. Mr. Kupusami. Brahma also like that, then how is Lord Shiva? Well, yeah, as you saw already, many Shivas also came there. So, Shiva is also subordinate to Krishna. Next question by Bhakta Virendra. If in this lifetime we are performing Krishna Bhakti, then will Krishna take 10 steps to our small step by seeing our Bhakti and take us to his spiritual abode? Yes, provided we take our first step. So, Krishna takes 9 steps. Prabhupada said that. So, Krishna is actually more eager to take us back than we are in going back to him. So, when we show that interest, then Krishna is more than willing to help us. Next question by Bhakta Vishnu Teja. Prabhu, I started laughing when you said first class Shudra. Is that offensive? Why is it offensive? I mean, we also have to have laughter, right? We are not robots, like we have no humor, nothing. Prabhupada, you see how much humor he had. Sometimes the way he says things, is very hilarious. Like, the other purport, he said, this cunning gentleman, Hiranyakashipu was a cunning gentleman. How how can that be? How can a gentleman be cunning? And if he is cunning, how is he a gentleman? And by his behavior, he was never a gentleman. He was creating terror everywhere. And Prabhupada sarcastically called him the cunning gentleman. So, there is humor. And Prabhupada, how many times, he has a very, very unique humor. So, spiritual life is also, of course, it's not a joke. We should not make a joke out of spiritual life, but yeah, there is humor, Then Vijay Sharma Prabhu, how can we know Krishna as it says in Bhagavad-Gita 4.9 when there is so much knowledge about Krishna that we cannot comprehend? As I already said, we should know him enough to be convinced that we should do nothing else but serve him. Once Prabhupada was asked this question, so the spiritual master is as good as Krishna, so does the spiritual master also know everything? And Prabhupada paused for a while and said, he will know everything that Krishna wants him to know. So, how much Krishna wants him to know, he will know all that. So, that is the point. That we need to know how much. Of course, spiritual masters, we cannot even comprehend what the spiritual master knows. So, but Krishna, we have to know Krishna enough for us to render devotional service without any disturbance. It's not that again, That Prabhu, I have read all Prabhupada's books. Now I know enough Krishna. Now I am devotee only. No, I am engaging in devotional service. So I don't read. I don't need to read anymore. I know Krishna enough that I am now rendering devotional service. When we are rendering devotional service, where is our mind? Are we fixed in Krishna? It's not just the official or the external with our senses, but where is our mind and intelligence? Is it completely just on Krishna and absolutely nothing else? If it is not, then we have not heard enough. That's why we have to hear again and again and again. And actually, if one really likes Krishna, then he will read about him even more. Because he cannot stop reading about him. He cannot stop listening about him. He cannot stop chanting his name. So that is ruchi. Ruchi means taste. So he will have this ruchi where he, will not be able to stop. So we can understand him as much as he reveals and as much as is necessary. He will reveal as much as is necessary for us to be completely fixed in him and render devotional service to him. So next question by Bhakta Ayappa. Hare Krishna Prabhu, what is your views regarding homeschooling? So that we devotees can teach the kids lot of spiritual education as well, their education that they wish. Well, okay. Ideally, the material education is useless. So as Prabhupada said, just our spiritual education along with some English, simple mathematics and general geography and history. That's it. Other than that, everything else they can learn from the books. Now, in some countries, there is law that you cannot avoid admitting your child into the school. I mean, because this is Kali Yuga, so governments are like that. You have to, like at least in Singapore it's like that, and I think in some other countries also it's like that. At least until primary or something, the education is mandatory. So sometimes you have to do that. So yes, homeschooling is better, but can the devotees again do homeschooling when they have to do service, or whether if they are working in that matter, can they do homeschooling again? I don't know, but it's best homeschooling, but it's also not easy. And this is the whole thing has to be. It's not perfect. Definitely, this whole education system is not perfect, but because of these laws, sometimes we have to oblige, at least until primary or something like that. So we have to figure out what is the best way, and as soon as possible, get them out of that system, and we can have our own system, which is actually much, better. The other day, one Prabhu actually called me up and they said, "Prabhu, are you M.Tech or what is your qualification, Prabhu?" No, I have no degree, Prabhu. Huh? What is it? How are you speaking, Prabhu, on Bhagavad-Gita? You're speaking so many things. You're telling, how come you're speaking so many things? So I said, what has that to do with M.Tech or masters or degree or something like that? Anybody who knows English, who reads Prabhupada's books, can speak like this, right? I don't say I'm a great speaker or something like that, but anybody can speak on spiritual subject matters as long as he knows English. What I was speaking, did I speak anything from the master's degree or what they learn in the M.Tech? M.Tech is Masters of Technology, for those of you who do not know. I think there are some people from other countries where they don't use the term M.Tech. So Masters of Technology, so it's postgraduate. So what was said in the class that was from the postgraduate? Nothing, right? So it's all about knowledge from the scriptures, and that we just need to know English, and we can read Prabhupada's books, and that's where we show the screen. Everything is from here. Nothing is manufactured from some degree or some post graduation or PhD, nothing like that. So actually, one does not need to be anything other than educated in the Krishna consciousness. This is highest education. Well, how to implement this? Got to figure out according to time, place, and circumstances. But as soon as possible, get them out of that. Like Prabhupada, he was going to school as well. But then when his mother passed away when he was 14 years old, his father said, enough, Okay, it went on until college, but then after that he himself gave up. And also Prabhupada's father also did not want him. And even Bhaktisiddhanta, Prabhupada's father did not want him to go to England. He was supposed to become a barrister, study law and all that in England. Prabhupada said, I don't want my son to become a mlecha. Rather he's here and become a nice devotee. And similarly, Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur also did not pursue higher education. He was so intelligent. I mean, once he reads, photographic memory just stays in his mind. At the age of 7, he memorized all 700 verses of Bhagavad-Gita and could explain them, give lectures on Bhagavad-Gita at the age of 7 years old. I mean, that kind of intelligence, what masters or PhD he cannot pass or come out in flying colors. But he never pursued. He was not interested. He said that is in fact an impediment. I don't want any education. Because if I become educated, then there will be proposals for marriage and all this. I don't want any of these distractions. So he said that, like that. So even Bhaktivinoda Thakur also derided material education. And all the way, wherever you see, even Prahlad Maharaj, when his teachers were teaching all the material education, he did not bother. Whenever the teachers went away, he taught all his friends the spiritual education of Krishna consciousness. That's what really matters. Next question by Ayappa. Is Jaya and Vijay are Vishnudutas or demigods? I wonder, even though they are Vaikuntha Vasis, they get cursed. Why do you say demigods? We already read in the Bhagavatam they are the Vishnudutas, right? They are Dwarapalakas, doorkeepers of Vaikuntha. They were not demigods. They were not. Yeah, Vaikuntha Vasis, they got cursed, yes. So Krishna is showing that, just because Vaikuntha Vasis we can offend Vaishnavas. No, Vaishnava offense is so bad that even if one is in Vaikuntha, he will fall down. So Krishna wants to show that. And we all fell down from Vaikuntha, right? We must have committed offenses, isn't it? So he wants to show that Vaishnava Aparadha is so great that even a Vaikuntha Vasi will fall down if he commits if he commits Vaishnava Aparadha. That's the whole lesson to take there. All right, that's the end of our question and answer session. Thank you very much, and I'm sorry for the delay and again that mistake, that link has changed. Just got caught up with some things and got late. So kindly excuse me for that. We'll see you tomorrow with the next verse. Shri Īśopaniṣad ki Jaya, Śrīla Prabhupāda ki Jaya, Ananta Koti Vaishnava Vrind ki Jaya, Nitāya Gaur Premanande, Hari Hari Bol, Hare Krishna.